Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon, so I figured I would review the sequel to The Princess Diaries. The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Arrangement. So yeah folks, the thing is, I've actually did own these two movies on DVD. So yeah, I'll be obviously reviewing the DVD version of this film, folks. I know this was later re-released in Blu-ray formats around the same time as the DVD release. So I figured I would just do this because, well, I reviewed one of them, I managed to review the rest of them. So, nonetheless, as usual, let's talk about the plot of this particular movie, of course. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? Oh yes, sir. This sequel takes place 5 years after the first film, where we get to see the main character, whom is, of course, the princess. And she has to do some really important things in this particular movie. So she had just graduated from a particular school and is returning to a particular place with her bodyguard. There she will await her grandmother, this queen, steps down as queen, of course. And of course, she must have to learn some particular lessons once again, of course. Princess character just turned 21. Of course, she has to be the successor to the queen, whom is her grandmother, of course. So, of course, those particular things, some sort of sets of lessons she must go through to make sure everything's done properly, of course. Basically, that's the movie in a nutshell, folks. And of course, there has to be a prince involved in the general story, of course, in one way or another. And of course, our main character has to do womanly, girly things in her own way, of course. There's some outfits she has to try out, of course, and she still has the spunky personality from the first film in a lot of ways. At least I can say, folks, I'll give the film some credit for consistency, of course. So it's not that bad, folks. I'll give it that. Yeah, the characters in this film are provided with their own quirkiness in their own way, folks, just like in the first film, which I mentioned in my review for that film. I was not expecting a whole lot, really. And then the follow-up with this one, folks. Well, I can say that this was a decent sequel. It was nothing breathtaking or anything. And it was alright, so I suppose, folks. I would say it's worth watching if you like the first movie. Yeah, it's kind of a chick flick, of course, but it's really appealing to young women under the age of, what, maybe 18, I guess. Maybe 14-year-olds, 15, 16, maybe 8, 17-year-old young adult women may enjoy it, of course. But, and I guess other older adults may enjoy it as well, folks. Just if you just want to watch this out of curiosity, I guess go ahead, take a shot, folks. Of course. Yeah, the plot is a bit shallow, folks. I mean, it's a pretty decent sequel, I guess you can say, folks. And I mean, it's nothing too spectacular or anything. It's not gonna win any awards for anything, for that matter. But this was a decent, solid sequel, I guess you can say. I mean, it doesn't explore anything from the original film that was provided from that movie, and it doesn't really give anything new, really. It's pretty much the same old from the first film, but of course, it does attempt to be its own thing, sort of, I guess. But all in all, folks, this was a pretty decent sequel, I can say. The music wasn't too bad, folks. Yeah, the humor is okay, I guess. I did like some of the humor, but there's some jokes that did come out rather flat, I guess. Not all the humor works in this movie. So some of the jokes did felt rather flat at times. It felt just pretty dumb, I guess. Yeah, it does attempt to be too hard to be funny at times, but overall the humor isn't too bad, I suppose, folks. The music was solid, and so was the acting. The acting was, for the most part anyways, pretty solid as well. Some did better than others, I guess you can say. I don't hate this movie, really, folks. I don't necessarily hate it, really. I do wish it could have been better, I guess you can say. And yeah, it's pretty predictable, just like the first film, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, really. It just kind of, I guess you can say, cliched, as mentioned a moment ago. So, yeah, all in all, this was a pretty solid sequel, folks. Yeah, it's a feel-good movie, but that's fine, of course. I guess in some ways it's a bit refreshing to attend a non-animated film from Disney, folks. It's a live-action film. I know when it comes to live-action films, a lot of people may not want to watch these. The more attached to the animated stuff, I guess. So I guess this film does attempt to be a romantic fairy tale in some aspects, of course. The scenery does look rather nice. It's definitely well shot, I could give it that, folks. And altogether, I can say that this was a pretty good film, folks. I mean, granted, I was not expecting this film to be one of those kinds of movies like the meaning of life be portrayed on the screen or anything. But that's fine, folks. Yeah, the overall movie was something I could probably watch overall, I guess. So, yeah, it's a bit lighthearted, and that doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. It's not as good as the first. I did think the first movie was better than this one, folks. But I guess you can say, all in all, this was just a typical sequel. That's all it really was, just a typical sequel. Kind of rehashing the first movie, but attempting to be its own thing in a way. But then again, most sequels do that anyway, so he's just going along with that trend of sequels, I guess. Yeah, it's a bit of disappointment, of course, but still overall, it's quirky in its own little way. But, of course, our main character has to learn what it means to be a princess, besides wearing nice dresses and whatnot, and attending balls at that. And, of course, the thing is, the character has to learn what to do with the balance of power, so to speak, I guess, in a sense. And I guess in a lot of ways, you could always argue that the queen has the real power, of course. Man, all in all, altogether, this was a good movie, I guess. I mean, it wasn't great or anything. I'm not gonna say it was a fantastic movie, but it was a decent enough movie if you're a Disney fan, of course. This film didn't get all that great reviews when it first released, and I didn't think it was nearly as bad, as terrible as some critics gave it, folks. But I do recommend it for the Disney fan if you have nothing else to do, I guess you can say. And I can say that this technically is a comedy, and the humor wasn't too bad. In some places it worked more than others, folks. The humor was okay, I guess. So yeah, there's some moments I thought was pretty good, folks. So I'll say check this one out if you haven't really, folks. This just, of course, is like good, clean fun for the entire family. It's a fun movie, as mentioned before. So if you enjoyed the first Princess Diaries movie, then you're gonna probably like this one as well. Because all in all, it's sweet, it's funny, and of course, there's lots of outfits that I did like. I thought the outfits, the uniforms, were pretty good in here, folks. So a lot of it was really well done, at least in the wardrobe department anyway. You could tell this film had a somewhat of a good budget, so it didn't go to waste, that's for sure. So the dialogue was okay, I guess. The dialogue was decently written. The script itself wasn't too bad. I kind of wish it could have gone more in depth with the characters and whatnot, since this is a sequel. But oh well, folks. This is not a perfect sequel overall by any means. But I'll say check it out anyway. If you've seen the first one and not the second one yet, just check it out anyway. It's something I guess I could watch from time to time. If I've got nothing else to do during the weekend, I guess I can check it out, I guess. So it's a film that I can say that's worth watching if you don't mind the light-hearted goofiness of it. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, our princess character returns to the land only to discover that due to an old law that still exists in the books, she has to marry in order to rule her country. Unfortunately, there was another candidate, of course, so our main character proceeds to deal with her life with her usual mix of quirkiness, sarcasm, clumsiness, of course, with her best friend Lily, along for the ride, of course. There's plenty of memorable scenes in this particular film, folks. There's plenty of scenes I did like, folks. And this movie pretty much continuing the romance from the first film, of course. So, if they ever do another sequel, I actually wouldn't mind watching it, folks. And of course, I will review it. So, yeah, this one's pretty okay, folks. This film did get some mixed reviews, mostly negative reviews, folks. But I didn't think it was that bad of a movie, really. I mean, granted, I've seen better, of course. It's still a fun sequel, and it's worth watching. And the singing wasn't too bad. Yeah, this movie has some singing in it, of course. This is a Disney movie, crying out loud. Of course, you're gonna have some singing in it, folks. So the story does felt fleshed out, folks, in a lot of ways. Um, yeah, there's a pretty good, interesting subplot going on in the general story, and it's really enjoyable as well. Um, so yeah, folks, I can't say this was a bad film per se. So of course, folks, this one wasn't too bad, folks. And I'll say that the film was a fun ride overall. Yeah, it felt like a fairy tale, but then again, that's kind of the idea anyway. I know some people complain that it did feel like a fairy tale, but I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's the idea. It's Disney for crying out loud. Of course, it's gonna feel like a fairy tale for crying out loud. But anyway, folks, so I'll say that. I mean, granted, I was not expecting much since from the first one, from anyway. But still, folks, I'll say the overall film wasn't too bad, I guess you can say. The editing was pretty solid as well, folks. And I can also say that the lighting was pretty good, of course. Especially considering the fact that this was not necessarily a huge budget film, of course. But then again, the first film was not a big budget film anyway. So I guess you can say they did rather well with what they had. I can say the designs were pretty good for the sets. The sets were pretty big, of course, and that was nicely handled. And I can also say that the scenes that were taking place outside were also nicely handled as well. But, so yeah, folks, I can say that this was a pretty good crafted film, folks. And so yeah, I would say that this film does have its moments. This movie is based upon a series of books, by the way, folks, which I haven't read as of yet. But I guess there could be a chance to do so for a third film, maybe. I don't know. Did appreciate the fact that the princess character is determined to go through the struggle and outlast any bad news, I guess you can say. And yeah, this film does contain the main character of a woman. So yeah, and some people might not like the fact that it's a female character as the lead, which does sound rather sexist if you ask me. But again, it's a Disney movie. Usually they have films that have women as their lead. So I did appreciate that, folks. So I'll get some extra points just for that right there, folks. I know a lot of people out there may not want a woman as the main character, but I personally don't mind it really. So it's something I can say I could do appreciate for that, at least on that level, folks. So I know a whole lot of movies would much rather have the male character as the lead. So I did appreciate the fact that the director of this film took the idea of having a woman as the lead. So that's something, folks. Of course, the screenwriters did attempt to make this character rather charming in their own way, which of course is rather nice, obviously. So overall, this film does have some nice elements in it, folks. Even though, despite the fact that some of these elements could have been polished a bit more, I know, but still. Yeah, this film was a delight in its own little way, I suppose. And I can say that the actress who played the princess character is a pure joy to watch in the film because I can tell that she really does take care of what she's doing. She really did endure this project of theirs, which I do appreciate, of course. So I believe that the moviegoers will be watching her, of course, for many years to come, of course. There's been many Blu-ray combo packs which contains both films. I highly doubt they'll ever do a third film, but if they ever did, I can always check it out, I guess, and see. But anyway, as I was mentioning before, folks, the costume designer did a wonderful job throughout the entire film. Yeah, they really made it believe that this place is really there, and I guess you could say that it does take place in a certain period of time, I guess, and the outfits, these wardrobes, does make it seem believable. The princess dress is actually rather nice, of course. I do like the red; it's really nice. So, is this really a good movie, folks? Well, I'll put it this way: it's definitely a lot better than the other sequels I've seen over the years. Oh boy, these are horrendously bad. I guess you can say this is definitely one of the better sequels that Disney had had made, especially considering the fact that Disney has the reputation of making some of the worst sequels of all time. So this one's pretty solid in its own little way, folks. This sequel, Princess Diaries 2, gets an overall rating of a 5.9 out of 10, folks. It gets a 5.9 out of 10 for me. And of course, as usual, thanks for watching and take care. See ya. Oh yeah. Yes sirree. Woo!